Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. This will be my full Daredevil Born Again Season 2, Episode 4 video. There were a whole bunch of Easter eggs for the comics, WTF moments, connections to what's happening in the MCU right now, so we will break it all down. Definitely a couple of big surprises this week. You can really tell they are trying to escalate things every single episode heading to the end of the season and pushing into Season 3. Really, the episode is probably going to go down as the Vanessa episode, R.I.P., press F to pay respects. I kind of wonder, when they recast Vanessa during Season 1, the original showrunners, before they got fired by Kevin Foggy, with like a completely different plan for the way Daredevil Born Again was going to go down, before they brought back the Netflix people to completely redo Season 1 and then do their own version of Season 2, if the original plan was also to kill Vanessa in Season 2, like if they'd ever planned on doing that, or if this new version of Vanessa they were going to introduce was just going to continue on through whatever future seasons. But she has been a fantastic character since Season 1 of the Netflix series. If you don't remember, she actually debuted at the very beginning of that when they introduced the Kingpin character at her gallery. She was the one that sold him a rabbit in a snowstorm, and that was the beginning of their relationship. And the very darkly ironic or poetic moment, depending on how you look at it, is that the bloodstain on her white dress makes her just like the rabbit in a snowstorm with the bloodstain on it. She becomes his rabbit in a snowstorm. She's the one who originally sold him that painting. The actual episode title was Gloves Off, which is a boxing reference because the big boxing match at Fogwell's gym, Kingpin versus Matterhorn in this episode. Daredevil himself also spent a lot of time growing up at Fogwell's gym. His father was a boxer that trained there, battling Jack Murdoch. Typically, the term is used in real-world scenarios when two opposing people go at each other with full force, no more punches pulled to make more boxing metaphors, and now that's the idea. Vanessa's death is basically the gloves-off moment for Fisk. It is going to be hell on New York City if it wasn't worse before. There are a couple references to this throughout the episode too, with Kingpin's darker impulses and Vanessa being able to temper them, but now that Vanessa is gone, there's nobody to stop him from going full Kingpin mode again. If you watch the episode on Disney Plus and you're not sailing the seas or like some other service, I don't know if it's on every single streaming service around the world, but before the actual episode started, Marvel also ran a free QR code for Daredevil comics that you could download, like absolutely free. They actually baked in QR codes like this to previous Disney Plus series over the past couple of years. So if you watch episodes and you see like a random QR code in the background, you should be able to scan that and get free comics based on whatever's going on in that episode. This time, the Marvel Television logo is blue for Bullseye, and they start with a big reintroduction for him. Basically, this whole first part of the episode is like a welcome back Bullseye kind of episode. We get to see his morning routine, which is meant to be a callback to Kingpin's morning routine, super elaborate morning routine, originally on the Daredevil Netflix series. They did the same treatment for Matt giving him a morning routine during Daredevil Born Again Season 1. More recently, there was also a crazy meme about over-the-top morning routines. This also kind of reminded me of that too. They basically use this first part of the episode to show you what Bullseye has been doing this entire time since the events of Season 1. Like, he's just doing this pretty much every day. The song they play is New York State of Mind, very apropos. We find out that he's going by the name Tony, which just makes me think of Tony Stark. They didn't actually give a last name. The landlord seems like she just believes that he's a normal, nice boy who pays his rent on time. He gives money to beggars on the street. He seems like he's actually really enjoying himself now. All because he is spending every waking minute thinking of new ways to kill Task Force. Goes to the diner, then calls in a tip to the task force about the Punisher, another Punisher reference because we're going to see the Punisher special after the Daredevil Born Again season finale this year in a couple weeks. Using it as a way to lure them into a trap so he can kill more of them. And he's basically just slowly working his way through the task force indiscriminately. Like, it wasn't these particular people he was going after for any real reason. It was just another group of task force that he wanted to go after.
One banana milkshake.
When he gets the milkshake, that's also a bit of a callback to the memes people posted from his apartment during the Daredevil Netflix series back in the day. There were all kinds of like funny things that he kept around his apartment that people were memeing. The reason why he puts the gloves on is just to keep his prints off the things he uses to kill the task force, and it sounds like he was able to kill them all before they radioed it in to identify him as Bullseye, but the task force themselves did recognize him as Bullseye without his mask on. Love the way that he leads off his first kill in the most Bullseye style possible with the cherry pit in the straw, using it as a blow dart, and all the things that he uses to kill the different task force members are just regular utensils. You have to remember that the kitchen is probably the most dangerous place for Bullseye to be. Like, what is he cooking? What is he cooking? It's like a Jujutsu Kaisen domain expansion situation. Stops for a beat just to chide the patron for bringing his dog into a restaurant, and they finally call him Bullseye on the show too. This is another big detail. Previously, the show had really only referred to him as Dex or Poindexter. Then they end the intro scene going full comic book with him drawing the bullseye on the doors in ketchup. His costume is still meant to be the same one from season 1, but you can kind of see they're slowly pushing him in a more Bullseye direction. People are just waiting to see him get a more comic book accurate Bullseye suit. They pick up with another BB viral video calling out Kingpin for killing the workers in the river and calling out his boxing match in Hell's Kitchen at Fogwell's gym with Matterhorn, which happens later in the episode. Matterhorn is meant to be a professional boxer, and it's meant to be a fundraiser for his port project, which he also calls out for being super shady. Notice that his slogan is New York Born Again. They actually showed this in previous episodes too, but obviously it's a play on the title of the series, Daredevil Born Again. Karen Page then helps mount a campaign against Kingpin using Soledad and the other people that they freed from the prison to try and show all the illegal things that Kingpin was doing so that they can build enough evidence to help Kirsten McDuffie and lawyer Matt Murdock, a really good lawyer, take Kingpin down the legal way so that he stays down. This becomes a much bigger thing across the episode too, with them collecting evidence that they can actually use in court against Kingpin, because one of the only ways that they can actually get him to stay gone if they get rid of him is if they have the US government on their side. Later in the episode, Daredevil also explains to Bullseye why he won't let him kill Kingpin, because he doesn't want Kingpin turned into a martyr, which would make things even worse. This is also to answer the question to a lot of other people out there that are like, why don't they just have Bullseye kill Kingpin or like another person kill Kingpin and get rid of him forever? The other reason for not killing Kingpin in like the first or second episode is because they actually want to have a TV series too. For plot reasons, a little bit of plot armor on Kingpin. Daredevil tries to get Swordsman to actually help out physically, like stick around and actually be a vigilante with us and use your skills, who claims that he's not ready to personally fight with them, mostly because this was only contracted for a cameo. Like, I'm not here for more episodes, so I have to leave. But he does give them access to a bunch of his money, so he is still helping them, even though he's not going to be in a ton more episodes. Why can't you be a vigilante with us? Also for plot reasons. He also reminds Daredevil that he is a symbol now, more than just a hero protecting Hell's Kitchen. He's way more important to all the people of New York City, all the boroughs of New York City. Angela then helps them get the videos that they took to BB because the task force is looking for Karen and Matt, and Angela has the powers of the amulet, which include a measure of hand speed, agility, so it's easier for her to duck the task force, and she also uses her network of her own friends that the task force are not looking for. Matt also gives her a little call to action, and it's just the show's way of acknowledging that she is now officially the new White Tiger. She's carrying Hector's knife, and even though she does seem a bit young, she's actually meant to be an older teenager. She's just like very short. Then Kristoff, the other captain from the ship who survived, finds them and has all the evidence that they need to take Fisk down in court. More importantly, they say that Fisk's signature is on a bunch of documents, which is actually really important for evidence.
Achilles called him Βασιλιάς του Εγκλήματος, the Kingpin.
We then go to Vanessa and Fisk arguing about him not wanting her at the boxing match because it's too public to expose. He's still worried about Bullseye coming for them, which he does, R.I.P. He was right to be afraid of that. I think the reason on the show why Vanessa protests this so much, like, don't hide me away, I don't want to be away from you, is both because she does love Kingpin and does not want to be apart from him, but she's also not afraid to die. Even though she is expecting some sort of confrontation with Bullseye, she was hallucinating Bullseye just a little while ago. So part of me feels like she knows that she's going to die eventually, like she feels like it's inevitable, that's the course that they're on and there's nothing that she can do about that, but she doesn't want to hide from that. But it's not like she knew that Bullseye was going to be there tonight. We get a real quick scene of the task force coming for Kirsten McDuffie, looking for Swordsman, not finding him, while Kingpin discusses Daredevil's recent prison break with Mr. Charles and Buck amidst all the weapons still in Brooklyn, which Mr. Charles complains about quite a bit. He actually reveals a couple important details too, like what is Val doing here, how is she involved with this, what are the weapons actually for. We find out that Val was trafficking the weapons through the port, and they were supposed to be sent to Guinea-Bissau in West Africa to help rebels take over that part of the country or start a war in that part of the country. If you do not watch a lot of political thrillers or you don't keep up with the CIA or any kind of CIA related things, this is a very CIA Black Ops kind of thing for them to do. The stock and trade Val stuff. She has been the director of the CIA for a long time in the MCU, so she's just using Kingpin to further her normal day-to-day activities in foreign countries. In the United States, the FBI and Homeland Security are mostly worried with threats from inside the United States. The CIA mostly deals with stuff outside of the United States, which is why Val is just moving weapons through the port to another country, West Africa. Mr. Charles puts Kingpin in his place, saying that he's small potatoes in a big world, basically that Val does not care about him, and she's just using Kingpin because he is convenient. The port is convenient. She doesn't care about actual Kingpin, and she doesn't really care about New York City that much either. Mr. Charles also seems like he gets pretty pissed after Buck kills his guys and they leave. What's he going to do about Kingpin now? Because Val is going to get pissed at him and tell him to deal with the situation. So basically, Kingpin is slowly working his way onto Val's shit list. Now you ask the next question, why aren't the Thunderbolts new Avengers characters getting involved with this? Because this is set after the events of the Thunderbolts movie, so they've already been named the new Avengers. Val literally purchased the Avengers Tower and turned it into the new Avengers Tower. It's kind of like all this crazy stuff is happening in New York City and the new Avengers are just sitting a couple blocks away watching it all happen. My assumption there is that because Val is trying to do something super shady here, traffic weapons through the country, she is not going to alert the new Avengers characters and is probably, even if they do find out about it, tell them to stand down and do absolutely nothing about it. So if you wonder why the Thunderbolts characters like the Sentry isn't getting involved in all this, it's because of Val. Val is telling them not to get involved. Vanessa then meets with the governor, and the Europa comp that she makes is meant to be foreshadowing for her death at the end of the episode, who was the consort of Zeus, but ultimately became collateral damage, and that is basically what happens to Vanessa. She is the consort to a very powerful person, and ultimately winds up being killed by Bullseye in collateral damage, who was actually trying to kill Kingpin first, before he tried to kill Vanessa. When they mention her tempering his dark impulses, her death is meant to be the gloves off moment, to be a callback to the title of the episode where he goes back to being full Kingpin again.
And I know how to bring out the very best in him.
Really love this whole scene of Daredevil stealing the task force gear to investigate Bullseye and find out where his apartment is at the actual crime scene. Matt's skills as an actor are actually pretty solid. He finds the coin from his own church, which he recognizes oh, this is from my church, which he chuckles at, goes back there. It's the same place we saw Bullseye a couple episodes ago. It's the same place during season 3 where his mother, Maggie, nursed him back to health after the Defenders, and it's the same place where Bullseye attacked Karen Page during season 3. We get a couple more cool uses of Daredevil's powers as he uses his hearing ability to detect that the priest is lying about Bullseye and gets the information out of him, and then uses the same auditory abilities to triangulate his apartment using the bells. You also notice the priest says that Bullseye pulled a knife on him, so I think the idea is that Bullseye was there to try and kill Matt's mother as well, too. Then in an episode with a lot of really WTF moments, we get a solid Daredevil versus Bullseye rematch. Love the use of the CD, showing that even though Bullseye is a better crack shot, Daredevil is also very handy, not quite as good as Bullseye is with that kind of thing, but Daredevil is also just a more skilled fighter in general in hand-to-hand combat. They also do a full-on double anime punch. If you're not a big anime fan, this has been parodied a lot of times in live-action films too, particularly in the recent Creed 2 movie with Michael B. Jordan and Jonathan Majors. All these different shows that do this double punch are calling back to an anime called Ashita no Joe in 1971. That's the first known example of the double punch, which was in a boxing ring. They did it again during a sequel movie to that, then Rocky III used it in the early 1980s. Several other anime series over the years, several live-action series, the most famous being Dragon Ball Z, also used it. And what people will probably remember more recently, Michael B. Jordan, who wrote and directed Creed 2, used that same trick, that same scene, parallel with his fight with Jonathan Majors' character. Michael B. Jordan has also publicly said what a lifelong anime fan he has been, and in this moment he was directly referencing that original Ashita no Joe scene in the Rocky III version of that as well too, because this is meant to be a Rocky sequel as well. Then even though it's not related to this episode, it's actually a really cool detail about Michael B. Jordan. Because he's such a big anime fan, they actually designed his Killmonger suit during the Black Panther movie to look just like Vegeta's suit from Dragon Ball. Killmonger is basically like the Vegeta of the MCU, and Michael B. Jordan is just like a huge Dragon Ball fan in general. Totally not surprised that Bullseye tries to bring up Foggy Nelson's name. How dare you mention that name? He even calls Vanessa out, begs him to let him kill Kingpin, but Matt says he doesn't want Fisk to die, doesn't want him to become a martyr. Like I said, that's the plot armor that's keeping Kingpin alive for now. You do notice that Daredevil says nothing about killing Vanessa, though. Kristoff then gives his testimony to Kirsten McDuffie, the video evidence incriminating Kingpin, also telling them that Daredevil boarded the ship, so now they do have something they can use in court, even though Buck winds up killing him later. And pretty much the rest of the episode is spent at Fogwell's gym with Kingpin's fight and Vanessa's death. We get a real quick moment of Angela's friend slipping BB the SD card. It still seems like Daniel Blake kinda knows what's going on, he's a little suspicious, but it seems like he likes BB so much he's just choosing to ignore it. You notice Kingpin declines the mouth guard because he expects to wipe the floor with Matterhorn in no time flat, and that's pretty much the way the fight goes down. Boxing is such a huge part of the Daredevil comics in general. There have been so many visual metaphors and comps to Kingpin and Daredevil boxing across the eras. There's even been bouts where they have boxed each other, so I'm hoping that at some point we'll actually see that. Probably not this season, but maybe in some future iteration. But you can kind of see that they spend a lot of effort here to misdirect you with all of his people, like all of his hangers-on, thinking that he's too exposed and worried Bullseye will come for him, which he kind of does, just to create more of a twist with the Vanessa death.
We'll need an entrance cleared. Preferably the front doors.
They wind up intercutting between his fight with Matterhorn and all the other storylines converging on the boxing ring with the actual Bullseye attack by the end of the episode. We learned that the call that Buck got was the tip-off that the marshals were taking the ship's captain into protective custody, kills them, then imply that he kills the captain, but they still have his video evidence that he submitted that they can still use in court. But it also means that Buck isn't at the ring to protect Fisk or Vanessa from Bullseye. I don't think that he would have been able to save Vanessa otherwise. She still probably would have died, but I think they want Buck to feel guilty for not being there, and Kingpin to also be mad at him for not being there to protect Vanessa. Speak of the devil, Vanessa shows up against Kingpin's orders. I think she had a feeling Bullseye would probably show, but like I said earlier, she doesn't seem like she's been afraid to die. She just expects this confrontation to happen at some point, so she just wants to get this over with. Kingpin then knocks the crap out of Matterhorn. If it wasn't clear, he's not dead, he's just out cold. While Bullseye rips through the task force like tissue paper, how many knives does this guy have? The answer is infinite. He has infinite knives. It would also not be a Bullseye attack if he weren't using some random object as a weapon, and he uses the born-again figure that Daniel Blake just bought to try and kill him. Try and kill Fisk with his own symbol. Daredevil is also able to chase him to Fogwell's to try and stop Bullseye, taking him through the window, also stopping Fisk from killing Bullseye, but not before Bullseye is able to get a knife off into Vanessa, killing her. So RIP, press F to pay respects. You could also tell they wanted her to go out fighting, go out like a champ, because it was her shot that saved Kingpin's life. She was able to get one off on Bullseye, wounding him, saving Kingpin's life, but at her own expense. She becomes the martyr, per Europa. Kingpin is definitely going to blame both Bullseye and Daredevil for Vanessa's death, but when you rewatch her death scene, if you slow it down, you see she was killed by one of the shards the Kingpin deflected using his belt. So really, like the big twist here is that Kingpin technically killed Vanessa. Kingpin was really responsible for her death, even though he is definitely going to blame Bullseye and Daredevil. Then you do not need to be a Daredevil expert to know how Kingpin is going to react to this after the dust clears. It is going to be open season on the citizens of New York City. If you thought that he was squeezing New York with his iron fist, it is going to get even tighter now. It also seems like this escalation is going to lead to the Defenders getting involved again too, like how they're setting up the Defenders coming back with their cameos like Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, how they all get involved in the story again, because what Fist does after this sort of leads to things getting way, way worse. Everybody post all your reactions in the comments below, and because there's so many ties to what's happening in the movies right now and the MCU just in general, if you did spot any Easter eggs or references that I didn't talk about in the video, just write them below in the comments. My episode 5 video will post next week after they release it. There was also a new trailer they released with footage for the rest of the season with a bunch of big reveals about Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Heroes for Hire, Iron Fist stuff that's happening during season 3, so I'll do a video for that later this week too. We are also starting The Boys Season 5 episodes. My episode 1 and 2 video will be like the next big video that I post that should be up within the next couple of hours, so just be sure to check my channel, enable alerts for uploads so you don't miss that when I post it. Then I'm working as fast as possible to finish my Invincible Season 4 Episode 6 video. That should post within several hours of me posting my boys video. Absolutely zero sleep for me for the next couple of days, but I will get all those videos out. Everybody click here for that next Daredevil episode. I'll update the link as soon as I post it, and click here for all my other episode videos this week. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.